Welcome to our presentation on resilience. A great deal of work is being carried out across the Western world looking at developing confidence and resilience in children that build into their adult lives. People with resilience are much more likely to be able to cope with day-to-day life, accept their strengths and challenges, and have a balanced view of the ups and downs everyone experiences. A lack of resilience, if not supported, can lead to anxiety, and in extreme cases this can lead to other mental health issues. This is not a Monkspath problem, or even a British problem. The growing lack of resilience in young people is being identified and addressed in many countries. We are extremely fortunate here because we hold the emotional health and well-being of our children as being extremely important, and we have a team of staff who support those children who need something extra at particular times in their lives. The information from this presentation comes from the Scottish Government, who have completely overhauled their education system over the past few years to identify and build confidence and resilience in their young people. The link to this centre is at the end of this presentation. Everyone has things to overcome in their lives, whether it is finding it difficult to learn their spellings, tie their shoelaces, or pass their driving test. Life throws things at us. We all have to learn to fail at things, or find them challenging, because from that we learn that next time we can make things better, and that this failure and struggle goes away. We might get an F in a test. We might have an illness or an accident. We all face setbacks and challenges in our lives. There has been a lot of research into why some people seem to bounce back from adversity, while others can almost fall at the first hurdle and find anything challenging in their lives almost too much to cope with, sometimes destabilizing their image of themselves. Research suggests that in many parts of the world, it is becoming more difficult for young people to bounce back. The loss of sadness. For the last 2,500 years, human beings could distinguish between normal sadness or suffering and clinical depression. Since the development of the classification system for mental illness, the boundary has become more blurred. The only context the manual takes into account for depression is bereavement. What does this mean? This has had an impact on wider society. People can suffer similar symptoms to depression in reaction to many life events. For example, when they break up with a partner, fail an exam, or don't get into the school pantomime, for example. This is normal and not pathological. These symptoms usually don't last long. There is a tendency to medicalise this misery. Major clinical depression usually arises for no reason, and context usually cannot explain it. We may be creating a problem of resilience by pathologising normal reactions to life experiences. This is what research around the world is telling us. We will all recognise things about ourselves, our parenting, within these findings. 10 big reasons to explain the erosion of young people's resilience. Number 1. Treating young people like infants. Our society thinks that young people need constant protection, can't handle responsibility, aren't capable thinkers, are moody and selfish. Some argue that there is something wrong with their brain, but research shows that treating young people like infants makes them behave like infants. Number 2. Spotlight on the individual. Society focuses too much on the individual and how they feel. This encourages young people to think that they are the centre of the world. This means that young people blow out of proportion any setbacks or challenges in their lives. Number 3. Black and white thinking. This is something we see more and more of, children not recognising the value of hard work, thinking that the children who seem to know their times tables or spellings are just clever, not that they have practiced and had help at home and worked hard at it. It isn't magic. Our culture views people as fixed entities which are unchangeable. For example, people are born good or people are born bad. People are born smart or people are born stupid. This type of thinking exaggerates the significance of failure and difficulties. Number 4, entitlement. I want it all now. Our society makes people feel that they are entitled. Celebrity culture suggests success should be instant. This makes people think that effort and hard work are not important. This increases self-obsession and undermines resilience. Celebrity culture is huge. We shouldn't underestimate the impact of it on the way our children think. Number 5, wrapping up in cotton wool. Parents now do not want their child to have any negative experiences. This means that they try to protect them from life's knocks and blows. Doing this undermines their resilience. We worry about the big things going on in the world or the threats to our children online. But in fact, it goes right down to much smaller day-to-day things, such as parents and carers not wanting a child to have to learn something they don't like, such as long division or having to read a book that's a bit difficult or face their challenges, for example, handwriting or doing PE in the cold. Number 6, psychological cleanliness. Young people are being brought up in an environment that is too clean psychologically. Resilience is formed as a result of dealing with setbacks. We try to protect our children from feeling negative emotions rather than letting them feel, overcome, and be proud of what they have achieved. We often have to explain that feeling nervous or sad or worried in some situations is completely normal, but these feelings don't last. Negative emotions are wrong. People are frightened of negative emotions. This encourages people to try to suppress their emotions. Paradoxically, research shows this causes more of the negative emotions that they didn't want in the first place. Number 8, ignoring the importance of bad feelings. People think that bad feelings don't have a purpose, and that bad feelings such as guilt, shame, and frustration are only negative. But research shows that bad feelings can galvanize us to do things differently. We need them to succeed. Number 9, the need to be perfect. Mass media encourages people to believe that they need to be perfect. This encourages us to feel inadequate and again exaggerates our inevitable problems and difficulties. This undermines resilience when the person sees that perfection is not attainable. Mass media encourages us to compare ourselves with the rich and famous. This is a really important issue and something that we keep a close eye on in relation to body image and eating. Number 10, too much choice. We now have more choice than ever. Paradoxically, this makes people not choose, regret their choices, feel depressed, or feel overwhelmed. All of these factors undermine young people's ability to bounce back. Young people are not fragile. Young people can be likened to springs or balls. They can bounce back. People can bounce back psychologically after being knocked out of shape, just like in nature. Bouncing back is the ability to cope with adversity or hardship. Bouncing back means that people can carry on and even flourish after setbacks. Helping our children understand that everyone faces challenges and everyone can bounce back is extremely important in the development of resilience. What can be done to help people bounce back? Here are 11 things we should factor into our thoughts and behaviour. Number 1. Hold high expectations. Young people are capable. We need to challenge them. We should expect that young people will achieve their goals. People reach goals at different times, but most will get there. Expecting our children to achieve is important. Helping with what they need to do is what makes the difference, rather than avoiding the challenge. Number 2. Focus away from the self. It's important that we don't make the child the centre of the universe. This undermines their well-being, as they exaggerate every minor incident. Encourage young people to volunteer and help others. Helping children understand how fortunate they are and why others may behave in particular ways can support them in focusing away from themselves alongside doing things for others. People are not born smart. Encourage young people to see intelligence and ability as something they need to work at. People are not born smart. All of the most successful people in life will have had to overcome failure. Use role models to illustrate this. Here are some quotes. Successful people keep taking action. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Successful people are not gifted. They just work hard and then succeed on purpose. It's not that successful people didn't struggle to do their thing in their world. It's that they dealt with their struggles and kept going. We must encourage our children to have a growth mindset. This table shows some of the differences between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. We encourage our children to have a growth mindset, telling them that intelligence can be developed, and it leads to a desire to learn and therefore a tendency to embrace challenges, persist despite obstacles, see effort as a path to mastery, learn from criticism, and be inspired by others' success. Number 4. Failure often leads to success. Here are some famous people that failed in life. Albert Einstein was told that he would never amount to much. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan was dropped from the high school basketball team. Steve Jobs was fired by Apple. And the Beatles were told by the recording studio that they didn't like their sound and that they had no future in show business. Encourage young people to view failure in a different way. Failure is a learning opportunity. Talk about the failures you have overcome. You are a role model. This is extremely important. More and more children are worried about making mistakes. We must encourage them to. They must understand that through our mistakes we learn. This can be very liberating, particularly for children who often do well at something, and therefore when they are finding it challenging, it's difficult. Number 5. Normalise, don't personalise. After a negative experience, it is common for young people to think that this type of thing only happens to them. Encourage young people to view these setbacks as normal. Everybody experiences them. And help them not to think that this is something which reflects badly on them. It's really important that we all understand that negative things happen to everyone. Being a role model for our children makes a huge difference to them. They see us as we are now and can feel that they will overcome their challenges. Bad feelings are normal. It is human nature to experience negative emotions. Only psychopaths and dead people don't. Bad feelings are normal. Learning anything worthwhile requires some frustration. Number 7. Bad feelings don't last. When young people encounter negative experiences, they may think that they will always feel that way. Research shows that bad feelings don't last. Remember to remind young people that these feelings will pass. Sadness, anger, and other emotions are all part of life. Helping our children to understand that having these feelings is fine and that they will go away is very important. Number 8. Don't over-worry or over-protect. Life is full of ups and downs. If you protect young people from them, they will not cope when they meet setbacks and will not be able to assess risk. Allow young people to make mistakes. Overprotection only makes young people more vulnerable and anxious. This is not an easy thing for many families to consider, but it's extremely important. If we never put our children in positions where they have to feel challenged, they don't get to practice their feelings or understand that they can make things better and be proud of themselves. Perfection doesn't exist. Here is why role modelling is so important. Everyone has flaws, even the most accomplished people. There is no standard for perfection. It is much more important that people try to do their best rather than be the best. Teach young people skills. Young people have an inbuilt need to learn. You can help young people to learn the skills to help them in life. Organisation, reading, writing are just some examples. Doing everything for your child doesn't support them as they grow up and develop. They need skills. We are making the adults of the future. This can be very difficult in a busy life when it can be so much quicker to pack your child's bag or put their shoes on or possibly do their homework for them. But children with skills, who can organise themselves and take responsibility for themselves, cope much better day to day. They know how to deal with situations and solve problems. They are used to trusting themselves. They are proud of these abilities. As we said at the start, we are all different and our children are all different, so finding the ways that work for your child is important. One size does not fit all. Not all children will respond to one way of building resilience. This is why it is important to foster many different ways for children to bounce back. What does Monkspath School do? School support. Academic support for those who are struggling academically. We also offer emotional support for those who are experiencing a challenging time. We are caring adults outside the family. We have a community spirit, encouraging everyone to think about others. We are a positive family with good school links, supporting relationships between peers and with buddies. This is all about the relationship we work on to develop with our families. Supporting you and your child at different stages through the ups and downs and ensuring we have an environment that expects and supports the development of resilience. What do our teachers do? We work together with families to build resilience in everyone and particularly support those who are less resilient. We hold high expectations for all and encourage everyone to challenge themselves and believe they can improve. We give feedback which is constructive to help young people succeed. This feedback can be verbal or it can be seen in the children's books in the marking and self-assessment. You can see how this develops as the children mature and the impact it can make on confidence, learning and progress. This slide is all about how to support resilience on a day-to-day basis. Building learning power has been part of learning at Monkspath for many years. Resilience is one of the 4 R's. Absorption, becoming lost or involved in learning, being in their flow when they are so absorbed that they are learning at their best, managing distractions, taking responsibility for their own learning, being able to maintain their concentration for a growing period of time, being motivated to work hard without being distracted by anything else going on in the classroom. Very often, learning is active. The children develop the ability to focus on their own learning rather than keeping an eye on or being influenced by what others are up to. This requires confidence and therefore resilience. Noticing. Be inspired by other good learners, trying to behave like them. Perseverance. Keeping going when the learning is a challenge. Not giving up. Knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. Accepting that learning can be challenging. Restorative thinking is an interactive toolkit that equips children with skills and language to find solutions to everyday conflicts and to reflect more on their own behaviour. It is solution focused and deepens and develops children's understanding of the spiritual, moral, social and cultural aspects of life. They work in partnership with the Anti-Bullying Alliance. Here are some websites which might be useful for you. Thank you for listening.